Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is literally foundational to our democracy and, honestly, incredibly empowering. We're talking about making absolutely sure your voice is heard loud and clear in Arkansas elections. Now, voting is a right, but actually casting that ballot, well, that requires a little bit of legwork ahead of time. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how you can navigate Arkansas's specific voting laws, verify your eligibility, and completely secure your right to vote. So picture this. You show up to the polls on election day, you're energized, ready to do your civic duty, and you find out you aren't on the list. Nightmare, right? Showing up is really just the final step of a much bigger process. If you wait until election day to figure out if you're good to go, you might be in for a pretty rough surprise. Checking your status today, right now, is hands down the absolute best way to make sure you aren't turned away later. Arkansas has some very specific, kind of strict rules, but don't worry, we're going to simplify the whole shebang for you so you're totally prepared. Okay, let's dive into our playbook. Here's what we're covering today. 1. Why registration matters. 2. Checking your Arkansas status. 3. How to register to vote. 4. Solving common registration issues. And finally, 5. Staying ready for Election Day. Let's kick things off with Section 1. Why registration matters. Here is the absolute most critical thing you need to know right out of the gate. Arkansas does not have same-day voter registration. It's just not a thing there. You are required to verify your residency and your eligibility at least 30 days before any election. Now, I know voter registration laws vary wildly from state to state. Some are super flexible, but in Arkansas, the rules are incredibly rigid. The main takeaway here: missing that 30-day cutoff means you literally cannot vote in the upcoming election, period. If you send in an application late, they'll process it, sure, but only for future elections, not the one that's right around the corner. Moving right along to Section 2, checking your Arkansas status. Because that 30-day deadline is set in stone, checking your current status is the easiest and most crucial first step you can take. You've got to make sure the state has your name right, your current address on file, and that you are officially listed as an active voter. Luckily, the state makes this part super easy. The Arkansas Secretary of State runs a secure portal called VoterView. To check your status, you just pull up voterview.r-nova.org. And honestly, it's a breeze. You don't even need to dig out your social security number or your driver's license to look yourself up. All you enter is your first name, your last name, and your date of birth. Boom! The system pulls up your info, confirms your address, and even tells you exactly where your polling place is. It takes maybe 2 minutes, but the peace of mind, totally worth it. Which brings us to Section 3, how to register to vote. All right, so what if you check VoterView and crickets? You aren't in the system, or maybe your address is completely outdated. We need to pause right here and dispel a massive myth. If you're used to doing literally everything online, take note. Arkansas strictly prohibits online voter registration. No way, no how. You cannot register or update your information through a website. Arkansas law requires a physical, old-school paper application. You actually have to fill it out with a pen and either mail it in or drop it off in person. So where on earth do you get this paper form? Don't worry, they're actually everywhere. You can grab one at your local county clerk's office, any state revenue or DMV office, your neighborhood public library, disability or public assistance agencies, or even military recruitment offices. And hey, if you have a printer at home, you can just download the PDF directly from the Secretary of State's website and print it yourself. If you ever feel stuck, just reach out to your local county clerk. They are the officials whose actual job it is to maintain voter data, so they're there to help. Let's put this into perspective with a timeline, because this really hammers home why doing this early is a total game changer. Let's use the upcoming November 3rd, 2026 general election as our example. Because of that strict 30-day cutoff we talked about, your paper registration application has to be submitted or postmarked no later than October 5th. Now, here's the kicker. Early voting actually kicks off 15 days before the election, on October 19th. So if you wait until you see early voting signs popping up around town to think about registering, you're already too late. You've missed the window. All right, let's jump into Section 4, solving common registration issues. Let's say your registration is flawless in VoterView. You still have to navigate Election Day realities, specifically Arkansas's strict photo ID law, which is known as Act 633. When you vote, you have to present an accepted photo ID. This includes an Arkansas driver's license, a U.S. passport, an employee or student badge from an accredited Arkansas college, a military ID, a concealed carry license, or a public assistance ID with a photo. Now, what's really interesting here is the expiration rule. Your ID can actually be expired. but it cannot be expired for more than 4 years prior to the election date. And look, if you don't have any of these IDs, it's not the end of the line. You can get a free voter verification card directly from your county clerk. But let's imagine a classic troubleshooting scenario. Say a voter, we'll call him David, does everything right. He registers on time, he checks voter view, he walks into his polling place, and then he realizes he left his wallet on the kitchen counter. He has absolutely no photo ID on him. So what happens to David? Is he just out of luck? Does he have to go home and forfeit his vote? Absolutely not. Even empty-handed, David still has the right to request and cast what's called a provisional ballot. This is an incredible lifeline that ensures voters aren't just immediately turned away at the door. But, and this is a huge but, to make that provisional vote actually count, David has to complete a crucial follow-up step. He has to take his accepted photo ID to his county clerk or the County Board of Election Commissioners by noon on the Monday right after the election. If he hits that Monday noon deadline, his vote counts. Problem solved. Finally, we are at Section 5, staying ready for Election Day. So you're registered, you've got your ID, you're set for life, right? Well, actually, certain life events can unexpectedly mess up your registration. The absolute most common culprit is moving. If you move across county lines, like from Pulaski County to Benton County, you can't just casually show up at your new local polling place. You are required to submit a brand new paper application to update your address and officially transfer your registration. The exact same rule applies if you legally change your name. A good rule of thumb, always treat a move or a name change as an immediate trigger to print a new paper form, fill it out, and mail it in. We have covered a lot of crucial ground in this explainer, but it all boils down to taking action. So here's my question for you. Will you take 2 minutes right now to visit voteview.r-nova.org and verify your status? Please, do not leave your voice in democracy up to chance. Check your status today, double-check your ID, and honestly, share this explainer with your friends, your family, your coworkers. We don't want anyone getting caught off guard by that 30-day deadline or the strict paper-only rules. Just a quick heads up before we wrap. While we've built this entire playbook based on the current Arkansas laws, election rules and procedures can and do change. You should always verify all the details and deadlines through official sources, like the Arkansas Secretary of State's website or directly with your local county clerk. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Get out there, check your status, and stay empowered.